And to Nancy's question about alternative ways to fund Ukraine, was that the deal that the president was referring to again today when he said that the Democrats had a deal with Speaker McCarthy? Maybe it wasn't to bring a bill to the floor on Ukraine, but maybe this other avenue to get aid to Ukraine.
I'm not going to get ahead of the president or go beyond what he said today. He's going to speak to this when he's ready to do so.
This guy sucks.
Good.
Can you describe the nature of President Biden's relationship with Jim Jordan?
Look, the president has been vice president. He's been senator, right? He has many relationships with members of the Republican Party in the House and the Senate, more specifically. Just not going to get into characterizing specific relationships that he has, but the president has been known for a long time to work in a bipartisan way and have pretty good relationships with Republicans in Congress. I'm just not going to get into every member of Congress and his relationships with them.
So I suppose that means you don't want to answer about his relationship with Steve Scalise?
I'm not going to get into characterizing each relationship that the president has. Okay, Mayor.
Thank you. I have just asked President Biden if he promised President Zelensky ATACMS for Ukraine, and he answered that everything President Zelensky asked for, we've worked out. It's hard to imagine that Zelensky didn't ask for ATACMS. Does it mean that some kind of solution for delivering ATACMS has been achieved?
I don't have anything to say on that today. Look, I'm not going to go beyond what the president said. As you know, he has had multiple meetings with President Zelensky, and we work very closely with his team. We talk to them very regularly, and just don't have anything to share beyond that.
So one more question about Sweden's NATO membership. It's been almost 3 months since President Biden thanked President Erdogan for dropping his opposition to Sweden's NATO accession. Is President disappointed that Sweden is still not a member of NATO?
So we still stand very strongly on believing that Sweden should be welcome into NATO as soon as possible. Sweden is a strong, capable defense partner that shares NATO's values. They will strengthen alliance and contribute to European security. And we're going to continue to urge Turkey. We're going to continue to urge Turkey to move forward with NATO ratification process as soon as possible. Don't have anything else to share beyond what we've been very consistent on. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. John Kirby said yesterday that the White House prefers that Ukraine funding should be separate from anything connected to the border, but there does seem to be some momentum behind linking border security and Ukraine in the next funding package. What's the president's reaction to that?
Look, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the week. The president, and we believe this, and we've seen this, and the president has taken action when it comes to delivering funding, record funding for the border security.
No.
And he's requested additional funding. The most extreme House Republicans have sought to eliminate thousands of border patrol folks at the border. And the president, let's not forget, the president got 25,000 additional border patrol law enforcement at the border. That is something that no other president has been able to do. Meanwhile, just 2 weeks ago, House Republicans proposed cutting DHS funding by 8%. That's what they have said that they want to do. Let's not forget, the president just recently requested $4 billion in supplemental funding to work that system in a very safe and humane way. When it comes to Ukraine, and you heard me say this, we want to continue to see the bipartisan support for funding in Ukraine. And we've heard from House Republicans and Democrats. We've heard from Senate Republicans and Democrats in a overwhelming way, right, in a majority that say that they want to continue that funding.
Good one.
And so that's what we want to see. And the president, again, asked for $4 billion in supplemental funding to deal with the border. And so, look, we've been very clear on how we want to move forward with the border. And you have House Republicans who want to take away that funding, take away the work that the president has done.
There's no red line against having a joint package that focuses on the border.
The Admiral spoke to this yesterday. He was very clear. about this, and we want to continue to see the support for Ukraine in a bipartisan way. We continue to hear from both parties saying that they want to do this, and so that's what we want to see. Continue the commitment to Ukraine, continue to that commitment so they can continue to fight against the aggression that we're seeing from Russia. And when it comes to the border, we've taken action. We've taken action by getting record funding to deal with the border.
I know you can't speak specifically about the alternative means that the president was talking about for funding Ukraine, but can you say is that part of a broader effort by the White House to try and find these workarounds if Congress isn't able to pass new aid?
Just not going to go beyond what the president said.
Right. And in the absence of a speaker, I'm just wondering broadly, are there practical concerns at the White House about things like continuity of government, about national security events? Are there particular scenarios that you're concerned about, in the next week or however long it takes to vote for a new House Speaker? Are there practical concerns about not having that?
So I'm not going to get into hypotheticals, but what I will say is that we want to see House Republicans to end their infighting, to end their chaos that they've created. This is of their creation. They have the majority in the House. They can fix it. They can get their affairs in order, and they should. On behalf, not because for us, on behalf of the American people. That's what we want to see. I'm just not going to get into hypotheticals from here. Go ahead.
Why is the president sending recorded remarks for Senator Dianne Feinstein's funeral tomorrow instead of attending in person?
Well, it's not unusual for the vice, as you know, the vice president's going to be attending tomorrow, and so she will be, I would refer you to her office. I believe she will be providing remarks, and so it's not unusual for the vice president to go to a funeral instead of the president. Don't have anything beyond that. As you know, the president has, put out a statement on the passing of the senator. He thought that she was an effective elected official. She was a trailblazer, and they worked together on many, many issues across her career in the 15 years that they were senators together. Certainly, especially when you think about the assault weapons ban in 1994, which was incredibly effective for those 10 years that it existed.
What a dork.
And so, look, you're going to hear directly from him. They're going to hear directly from him tomorrow at the service. But I don't have anything beyond his travel. Okay.
Thanks, Karine. The Vatican is holding historic meetings on the future of the Catholic Church on issues like allowing women to become ordained as deacons and of same-sex marriages. Is the president monitoring this meeting, which is going to be taking place over the next few weeks, and does he have thoughts on this agenda as somebody who's a practicing Catholic?
So look, we're not going to get into the internal workings of the Catholic Church. That is something for them to work through. But certainly the president is proud of his faith and enjoys a warm relationship with Pope Francis. They share a lot of common goals. And so I'm going to leave that there, let them deal with their internal kind of workings, and just not going to comment beyond that.
The Pope singled out the U.S. in his new document on the environment, specifically on emissions in the U.S. On climate change, and said that a broad change in the irresponsible lifestyle connected with the Western model would have a significant long-term impact. What's the White House reaction to this tough criticism from the Pope on something that's a big priority for the president, and is that something that the Pope expressed to the president directly when they've had conversations?
Well, certainly I'm not going to speak to any private conversations that the Pope has had or the president has had with the Pope. What I can speak to, and this is something that the president has done since day one, or said since day one, how climate change is indeed an emergency, and he has taken actions. He's taken actions to deal with climate change. And declared climate as a basis for emergency action under the Defense Production Act, DPA, set aside $500 million from DPA to jumpstart heat pump manufacturing and build out our electric grid, deploy tens of millions more from the DPA to stand up solar manufacturing and source critical materials for EVs, signed the most ambitious climate bill in history, the Inflation Reduction Act, as you know, which is going to actually put forth investments to deal with climate change and conserve more land and waters. And his his first year in office than any president since JFK. So the president has shown his commitment. He's walked the walk, if you will, and he'll continue to work through whatever else he can do to deal with climate change.